So, good afternoon. Welcome to the November 19th, 2024 Roads and Right of Ways Committee meeting. This meeting is being held in a hybrid format. Because we have a member of the committee who will join us via Zoom, we'll be doing all roll calls and attendance to identify the official actions of the board. This meeting is going to be viewed, you can view it at a later time on the town's YouTube channel. We don't have any guests, so we don't have to go through the criteria for them at this point. So, that being said, I'd like to do a roll call. Alan Reinhardt.
Here.
Rick Atherton.
Here.
Bill Smith.
Here.
Nelson Eldridge.
Yeah.
Ed Gillum.
Here.
And Bill Greer. So we'll jump right into the agenda, and also we should recognize Tracy McDonald, the land use specialist for the town, has joined us in person, and we thank her for doing so. First item is public comment on the agenda, and we don't have the public here, so we will not deal with that. Next item is acceptance of the October 15th, 2024 minutes that was included in the posted agenda packet. So,
Motion to approve.
so Alan Reinhardt, motion to approve.
Nelson second.
Nelson second. Any okay, so all in favor? We'll have to do a roll call. Alan Reinhardt.
Aye.
Rick Atherton.
Hi, I'm sorry about the roll calls. It's all my fault.
Oh, I'm glad you're here. Bill Smith.
Aye.
Nelson Eldridge.
Aye.
Ed Gillum.
Aye.
And Chair votes aye. Thank you. Speaking of minutes, we are still trying to work out the issues using AI to take minutes. The summary works out very well in a scenario such as this. Currently, we haven't figured out how we can best identify speakers as the dialogue is presented at the meeting. If you're online, it identifies you through your voice, but if you're in the meeting here in person, it identifies everything that's said for the person that did the login. So we will do more on that under other business. The next item is an encroachment and access update from Tracy.
Okay, so I did a little memo of things, but I got the encroachment at the end. So I have been tasked with the new Click and Fix app,
No.
which is very exciting. And so the town is trying to encourage people to use that to report issues. So you can report through that, you can upload a photo, you can email, I respond to it, so I recognize that I've received it. I will also often put that I've sent the letter certified, then I'll put a deadline on it, and I will then update further with like whether there's going to be a work order or whatever the next step is. And I can also address, for instance, a title thing where maybe somebody thinks it's an encroachment, but it actually isn't. So it's pretty interactive. It also is very good for the tracking and trying to coordinate things with DPW. So I get daily reminders of tasks, sort of like a task list kind of thing. So, so I get them quite frequently of all different kinds. The usual ones with cutting back the hedges or the stakes or the rocks are very popular. And, but I've been able to so far keep up with them. So as soon as I get it, I try to send the letter out. and then, put the deadline on it. And occasionally people call me, you know, and if they don't, then if it goes to 15 days, I issue the work order and hedges get cut or whatever has to be done. And so I am on top of it. I think, I have had some requests for licenses, to use town property, and, so far I'm trying to refuse that. So, it's a lot of work to do a license, so I want to try to create a licensing procedure. So that burden has to go on the homeowner. If they want it, they have to create a licensing plan. It has to include square footage, because they have to pay a price per square feet. And then I have to review it with the select board, who then can vote whether we're gonna grant the license or not. And, so I want to create some kind of a procedure or form or something that people can fill out for that process. And then in terms of the policy itself, it hasn't been updated since, I think, 2021, which was just the name change. And I have found some kind of little things that could be tweaked. You know, pricing for sure. Right now, I think for a license, it's $10 a square foot. And it seems to be a little ambiguous over whether that's a one-time fee or, you know, if it's like a yearly fee or something like that. So I'd like to tighten that language up a little bit. And, a lot of people think when they get the license, it's in perpetuity. It's not. The idea is we're letting you use it now, eventually it goes away. So I think there needs to be some clarification there. I have an idea that I've pitched to Drew Patnode that possibly we do some kind of outreach video about do's and don'ts with hedges. And so we have, the communications department go out and, you know, they've done other videos for other types of things. I think this is a perfect example of don't do this with your hedge and do this with your hedge. And maybe because so many people are on social media, maybe that will help with the problem. You know, some people are just, you know, naturally gonna let their hedges be overgrown, but there's some people who just, you know, don't know or don't realize the corner issue. I've had lengthy conversations with people who are on a corner. They want to know, do I just have to keep the corner under 3 feet and then go down from there? Which I think maybe looks weird, but.
The state of Rhode Island was the smartest state in the United States. They have banned California privet hedge. They've declared it an invasive weed.
We could try that. We could try that, Snooki. I think we need a warrant article for that.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's a work in progress. We can continue. I welcome the committee's input. And if you want to make a recommendation to the select board that we update the policy, that I think, you know, that would be a good thing. And that's it. That's all I have on that.
One thing about encroachments, the rocks that are put in the roadway, you know, to keep people from parking or whatever, but they are obviously a hazard.
A big hazard, yeah.
Is that, is that part of your?
Yes, it is. I have had to force remove them. I did actually ask the DPW what they do in that scenario, whether they just go over and move them to, you know, into the person's yard. Since a lot of times they purchase those rocks. And they do in some cases, they move them. They'd rather not, and they're charging them for that, if they do it. And in other cases, the people, you know, have to remove it, or they take them. They just remove them and take them back to the DPW. So I just had a report this morning for a location that has a lot of rocks and actually very problematic. So
Yeah, I've noticed more and more around the island, you know, it seems to be.
Through the chair, Ed Gillum, Tracy, the rocks and the stakes, I mean, the hedges are one thing, especially on corners. It's a lot of these roll over into safety issues. The rocks, the stakes, all sorts of other, some of them even have fence gap with 4x4s with caps on it these days. They've gotten fancy. Another solution the town might explore is the reason for these things a lot of times is so that people don't park in front of people's houses.
Right.
Maybe after major construction projects, sometimes after they've done a major construction project and now they know they don't want anyone parked in front of their finished place. Could the town explore yellow lines? So at least there's an enforcement, I mean, yellow lines, I assume there's signage attached if you park on a yellow line and.
I think so. I can talk to Drew about that. I think
and
in
that
the
might solve
areas.
Some of the areas,
It
Lincoln
will solve
Circle.
some, there's a lot of areas where there's the grass patch.
Right,
And, so that's harder to,
some of the
to
cliff
deal with.
area, Delaney's, to Dairy
Mhm.
Moore's, to Lincoln Circle, I mean, a lot of those stakes and all that are for that very reason, and, because people are heading to Steps Beach, or construction vehicles parked in front of someone's house.
Right.
Requires constant maintenance, whatever. But a yellow line would at least allow us to collect something.
Yeah.
To offset, I guess.
Yeah,
I think you might want to also loop in, traffic safety.
yep,
Because
Very
when we
much so.
tried to have yellow lines put on Washington, have Matticat, the DPW defaulted to traffic safety, and then it was a multifaceted. It didn't happen, so,
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's-
Too many cooks in the pot.
so they looped everybody in and it didn't happen, so, but anyway. Just, Alan,
Alan, I have a question. You mentioned licensing. I know when the town took the ways in Surfside, the ways in other places around, what they did is they took a 10-foot strip down the center, or
Mhm.
depending on the width of the road,
Mhm.
or the roadway that they were taking, and they licensed either side, for example, going down to Steps Beach.
yep,
That I was directly involved in that, and plus the Surfside ones and other ones. And so you said that license agreement doesn't go forever.
it depends on what it was it a license or an easement? Because a lot of times when we negotiate access to the beach, it's an actual easement, which is permanent.
Okay, I think the ones I'm remembering, like the Steps Beach and so on, I believe those were licensed agreements. Same down on Hobart Avenue when they took, I think it was Willard Street and some of the other.
So I have that in my memo,
Yeah.
that I've given to Bill. Those are actually taken and,
Yeah.
they should be easements, but nothing's been done,
Right.
so.
And this, and
So
this-
there's no license or
Yeah, I
easement.
know, or whatever. One more last question. Jefferson Street that goes down between the Beach Club and
Mhm.
now the land bank property on the right side. My understanding was that when the town took Jefferson, that they took it, but they didn't take it all the way to the water.
That's correct.
And that the beneficiaries on each side are getting paid a pretty significant stipend from National Grid for the easement across their property. Am I correct?
Yes, there's a document on record for the National Grid easements.
Yeah.
I was actually in the process of taking from the pavement
Right.
down. And now that Land Bank has purchased 41 Jefferson, that is not necessary.
Right.
Because they will protect the access. And then as I was doing the research for the Holbert access points, I discovered that there's also, we also took on the other side of 43 Jefferson, there's an access point there.
Oh, right.
So we have off the parking lot from the like in front of 41 Jefferson, there's supposed to be a little path that goes and then goes straight down on the other side of 43 Jefferson. So I've included it in the packet that I've given Bill. There's a
So-
plan.
so to help out here, I'm gonna,
43, the Young's property, the old Young's oral property, that
Mhm.
short of
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
So that's where that one is.
On the other side of that, yeah,
Gotcha. Wow, but that's the layout of Holbert Ave, right, originally?
yeah,
Right, okay,
exactly. We took it all the way down.
gotcha.
So this is, unfortunately, you're not gonna be able to see it, but I'm gonna, Tracy sent this today and I'm going to, put it in the minutes. So we'll have a copy and,
So each
Yeah,
section, there's plans attached in the taking, the relevant taking.
Is there one big beach in front of 43? Or is there any one?
No,
big
it's
beach?
not one big beach.
Okay,
Um,
I can get this over
I think
there.
it's just a regular easement.
got it.
So Rick, you have a test case. Can you read that on your computer?
Yes,
Okay,
it's very clear.
okay, so, Tracy, you wanna, I can scroll down if you just wanna,
Yeah,
ones that you've already talked about. we can-
so I've already talked about, so if you can just scroll to the,
Okay.
where the plans, because the plans are attached in order of matter, so.
Let's see what I can
Maybe
do.
it should be like page 4 or 5. Yeah, but I'll like make it a little bigger.
All right, let's, see if I can do this without blowing it up. You want
Bill,
the-
while you're doing that, can I ask you a question while you're doing that?
Go ahead.
Just for Tracy, it'd be nice if you could send that to each of us.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That was the idea. I think Bill will
I'm
send
gonna
it.
send it out, Rick,
All right, thank you.
as well as put it in the minutes.
Yep.
Can you go down to the bottom where it does it minus and that little thing, see if that does it?
Let me go. Is this the plan, the document you're looking for, or do you want the plan itself?
It's the plan that I was
Plan.
looking for. This is, I have it on my screen. It's page 4. So I think you're already beyond it. There you go.
There we go. Problem is they're big.
A little more?
Well, there you can see it. You can see Holbert,
Well, that's the layout of Holbert. You're gonna go down to the
and
water
just keep going.
next to 43 to the east, I guess, of 43.
Come on.
There you go. There you go.
There we go.
There it is.
See what I can get. Want to go up more?
I think you're gonna go up a little bit more so you can see the
See where
water.
the water comes.
So see, there's a little dotted path between there that connects into parcel A. Which I think is where the,
Parcel A is right next to the house. This is
Yeah.
taking right. Okay. Interesting. What's the other side of that road? Is that? What's on the other side, the east side of A?
The east side of it?
Yeah, the piece is not saying area of taking, the piece to the
yeah, so
right.
that's parcel B.
What is that?
So maybe we retained B and gave him A. I don't remember.
It sounds like it might have been that way because it'd be next to his house,
Could be, but-
right? Makes more sense anyway.
Well, and parcel B is pretty much, connects to the whole Holbert Ave extension, so. Anyways, so we'll have, the Youngs will be sandwiched in the between the land bank and.
Well, it's hard to access it there anyway. It's
Yeah.
it's over a dune and there used to be a buried second dwelling in the dune, actually.
Right, and I haven't, I have a meeting coming up this week with the land bank, so I haven't provided them. They may not even know about this, but
That wouldn't be the Atlantic Ocean either. That would be the Sound. wouldn't
the
it?
sound, yeah. So anyways, the point is that, the land bank has saved us. So I don't know, some people don't see it that way, but there is they'll have to the midline of that location. Where I was originally planning on taking an easement, so, there's really no way, and then the people on that, you know, whatever happens to the galley side, will have to the midline. There, but, you know, and the electric easement is secure in there,
So
so,
there's two separate properties there. There's the galley and there's also, there's the
Exactly.
galley and there's also the cliffside for sale, which are two
Right.
separate entities, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, so that takes care of that matter.
And then, Bill had asked about, the Bluff Walk access points, which is.
Right, so I have that,
I got it, it's up on the screen now.
so I did confirm each spot and what I hope is gonna be a new spot. So I went through your list and your list is correct.
And just for clarification, the list that I sent Tracy was the points that, are noted on the sign at the Bluff Walk that the sign committee approved and all that. And so we took those, I sent it to Tracy to compare what her stuff showed, and
Right.
this is.
right, so we don't have to, you know, necessarily look at the plans, but I'm just gonna go through this real quick, so. Front Street and Nosegate are actual public roads. So. They're not even just like something we, you know, talk about, they're public roads, so anybody can go over those.
Thank you, because there's an abutter out there that says that's an abutter's way and you have to have permission to walk on it.
No, a Nosegate is for sure, it says right in the order of taking, it's taken for a public road.
Yeah.
And it's the same for Front Street, which is not how we always word it, right?
No.
But for those particular two, that is exactly what it says. And then, for 13 and 15 Rosalie, we've taken it, there's a plan, but we have not conveyed anything to either side. We've not negotiated the easement, to the walk. So it's secure in the fact that we've taken it. We will eventually have to negotiate with the people, and some of the people, I've already sort of engaged in that, and
Mhm.
some of the people don't want it, so.
Nelson Eldridge, this right of way was a federal right of way when the old Humane Society house was down on the beach. Cause I can remember moving it up when I was a kid, pulling it up through that gully opening.
Yeah,
With a team of horses.
yeah, so they can't do anything with it,
No,
so. So it's secure, it's been taken, and so, you know, for now, until I can either work it out or just leave it as it is for now. And, that's the same with 27 and 29, Baxter Road, which is the old Fraser Lane. So that's in the same status. It's been taken. There's a plan. I did actually engage in a conversation with their attorney about it. One side is land court, the other side is not.
Right.
So, you know, we'll kind of see how that plays out. You know, they passed a new law that you can deregister your property a lot quicker now. Some people are deciding to do that. So that, may, you know, that could speed things up. It could not speed things up. So, but some people may choose to do that so they have a little bit more flexibility with their property.
Rick, you have your hand up?
Yeah, just, Tracy, a quick question. When you have, for example, in 27 and 29, you say you need to negotiate. Is that because there was a prior agreement, or since we've already taken it and own it, is the need voluntary? I just am curious.
Yeah, Rick, so typically when we do these, we convey them for ground cover in exchange for the easement.
But in this case, you've already taken it.
We've taken it, and so, yeah, it's, like I said, it's there and it's fine, and we've taken the whole width. So the benefit to the homeowner is if they don't want it to be the whole width, we could convey them the road. And then, the portion, the parcel, and retain the easement to the bluff walk. The only benefit to them is the ground cover, which some people may or want or need. And then, it's not gonna prevent people from. So I don't know what their perspective is, if they think they don't negotiate the easement, if it doesn't exist, but it does, it still exists. It exists one way or another,
It changes their setbacks too, right?
yeah.
Which could be a more important issue sometimes.
Exactly, so I figure when they think they might want something, they'll come to me, and then we'll get it worked out, but for now, as you say, Rick, we have taken it, it's there, so.
One quick follow-up, Tracy, it sort of reminds me occasionally, I've heard some others on the committee say that once we take something, we shouldn't give up any rights in it unless there's a clear reason to. And so that's sort of why I was asking in this case, not so specifically, but the use of the need implies a prior agreement. And maybe that occurred when we took it and they didn't object to, or something. I just don't know.
So in this case, on 27 and 29, the one homeowner does have a special permit, and there are some conditions in there. So I think there is an agreement. I think when it's land court, Rick, it's a different scenario, because technically in land court, they own to the midline. So, we usually try to keep the unregistered side and convey the registered side. But as been pointed out in the past, they can't necessarily eliminate it either. They're still subject to the taking, so.
Well, that's sort of what I was saying. If you take it, I'm not, anyway, we don't need to go through it now. I'm just curious about it. So thank you.
Yeah. And then the next point, which is a new one, I had an attorney reach out to me who represents both 31 and 33 Baxter, which has the old Valentine Road between it. And they actually have done an A&R plan. They sent me the signed version. It's not on record and it has not been taken yet. And I have told them that I'm not doing it unless they give me the easement. So, so I've asked them to, they can decide whether they want it on one side or the other or straight through the middle. And I looked at it. You can look at the GIS and get a sense of it, but my guess is they're gonna want it in the middle. So, because they've really kind of already landscaped over that area, so.
Well, if this stuff was all land courted when Mr. Flagg subdivided it, why isn't it just a fact? It's done.
Yeah, I mean, they could try for the petition. I
remember the old time Scots talking about Mrs. Mitchell trying to close the footpath in 1929. And that went to the land court in Boston, and the judge told her, you close it, you go to jail.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the reality is that we've taken these spots anyways, so even if they wanted to try to go for it,
Yeah.
it makes it simpler, like, and clearer that we have it. So even if they went to land court, it would be subject to the taking, so. So that's that spot, and.
With one quick interruption, just because we're on this. It's my recollection, and I may be wrong, so I'll stand corrected if I am. I believe 33 or 31 were also one of our main offenders on the landscaping into the buff path on the front as well. So there's some conscious effort to like push the bounds a little bit and protect. In fact, I think, weren't they the one that had the double fence on the other side? Remember, there was a fence on the other side, which was actually They put they did two things. They put landscape tiles on one and they put a fence with a gate before the gate to the steps to the beach, which by inference would make people think that that is private land, I guess you could say, whereas it's not.
Right.
That was one of the more egregious
I
places in the
vaguely
world.
remember that.
It's right in that area, so I'm not gonna,
And again, we get down to this registered, unregistered thing. Both those properties are unregistered. So it's not like we have the reliance of. We have the flag plan, which is the really old plan, but we don't have the land court plan to back it up, whereas in some of them, we do.
there's some of them have been purchased and repurchased in the last 20 years, and there's
Mhm.
clear plot plans that survey plans that
Exactly.
they purchased their property with. Let's put it that way.
Rick, you got your hand up?
Yeah, one more question. And by the way, Tracy, this is just marvelous. So
Thank you, Rick.
seriously, but I noticed just going to the GIS on 33, this is also one of those lots that has looks like steps going to the beach.
Yeah,
Interesting, their lot goes back further towards the beach. So they may not have been on town land and may not have required a license to do that. But as you're doing this, part of the issue was noted in the memo from Jeff Carlson, in 2015, there are a number of stairs that are not properly licensed. And I think it's helpful that we, put them on our list and suggest those people need to go through that process. Thank you.
yes, I have already had a conversation, not only with Jeff, but when this attorney called me, I did actually bring that up to him. So, and I told him the burden was not on me, that he would have to speak with natural resources and make sure his permitting was in order. So, they did originally have an order of conditions for those stairs, because I checked, but according to Jeff, everything's been expired from that, in that whole row.
Thank you.
And let's see, let me bring.
Oh, and then the last, so then we have two more spots.
Yeah.
So 63 and 61, so that we also have taken, when I looked at it, that again, that's another spot that seems like landscaping is prohibiting access in that location. So that was on your list, but it didn't appear to be viable to me. You guys would know more if it is a viable location, but it has been taken and it's there.
I think that one has a little bit of planting in it, but you can walk.
You
through.
can walk through.
Yeah.
So you could leave that on your list, because it has been taken. And, the same with 65 and 67, same thing. It's just, so all down the line has been taken. There's a plan on record, there's an order of taking on record, and then nothing's been conveyed to anybody else.
65 and 67, 67, is that
That's
where,
where it ends.
is that near where, or is it 69 where the gas plant was, the little, where is that?
69, 71.
69, 71, okay.
Yeah,
Where's it, that's where it used to,
the booster pump for the water system.
right?
So I have it back up on the screen now so we can see
How did we handle
where
that?
we are in that number.
69, 71.
So we're now going into, we can go down Holbert Ave too, if you wanna go down that list.
Yeah.
Still open.
So
Okay.
before we do that, Rick, you got your hand up?
Yeah,
Take it, bro.
so Tracy, I think it's clear to everybody, at least it's my understanding, that between 71 and 73 in the public way,
They put those pumps in.
are you,
When I worked for.
that's not on your list and it may be you don't need to, but
It made it look.
Because I think the path ends or at least I thought the path ended before then. I don't,
I understand about the path. All I'm doing is, in addition to the path issues, sometimes there are simply public way issues. And I thought that not everybody recognizes that, it's my understanding they don't, between 71 and 73 is a public way. So we might put that on independent of the path, but it's a public way issue for the committee.
Okay,
Is that 69 and 71?
no, he's saying further up.
71, I didn't hear what he said.
71 to 73, Ed.
So is that where the,
Well, that's
where you
what,
took us out in the pump was? The-
Yeah,
I thought that was 69 and 71. but-
So when we did that walk out there, sidewalk. I think we observed at the time that, in order for it to actually,
71.
be usable, if you will, the town would need to, put in a fence at the end to keep people from walking off the edge. I don't know if, Snooki, you would know, if they ever, took that in-ground vault out and covered it over and got rid of that hazard.
not yet.
So that would need to be done. So there's, even if it's deemed that it is a viable access point, the town would have to square it away to do so. And also it brings to mind the fact that regardless of whether it's pursued as a public way, there's a safety hazard there right now with the vault that
Okay.
needs to be eliminated.
But
Yeah.
Bill, just to
Yeah.
interject, I don't think it's just an issue of whether or not the town wants to make it a viable public way. I think the first issue is whether or not it's clear the town owns the property. The second part is a separate discussion. And
Yeah.
I think it's worth making that distinction and getting it on our list as as a public way.
No, I understand.
Ed Gillum, I agree totally with Rick. In fact, I mean, it's somewhat similar to the Surfside issue where they wanted us to cut through for a viewing point. If someone wanted to walk down there to look at the water.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks right now like you're walking over someone's lawn. And the fact that their driveway comes in a circle, a semicircle like this, over the public way. It very clearly looks like it's someone else's property if you didn't know otherwise. And I think it wouldn't hurt to have it, designated. Cause that used to be when the erosion was coming down from the lighthouse, that used to be the way out. That used to be where people walked over and came out. I mean, right there in their Bayberry, right? Isn't that where that is looking? Right.
Yeah.
So that was the exit point till the erosion made it. But there is a safety issue, right? It has to be addressed. But that should be addressed nonetheless, because quite frankly, if something happened on their property with that, there could be a liability there for the town, so.
I think actually, I thought I had a photo of that, but I don't, so I won't belay that one. All right, so Rick, you all set on that? We move
Yes.
on?
Yep.
Okay, let me get the memo back up here.
So you're gonna send that to Bill?
He has it. so
Yeah,
we can
I've got it.
just-
I just got it today, so I'm gonna send it out.
Okay.
All right, so you want to go up to?
So I'm gonna quickly go through Hulbert. These, we've gone through once before. There's no particular change. The only difference, I think before we had an abutter who was wondering where she could enter. So now you have like plans to back that up. So Charles Street, no mystery there. There's already public marker. It is for sure a public entrance spot. Between 61 and 63, which is Johnson Street. It's weird. But we recorded a plan in 2001 that shows an 8-foot easement. And then we never got an easement granted to us, and then they put in a private easement that is to specific homeowners. So although, I mean, I've gone down that little, it's the one that's like all hedged in.
Yeah,
In a
exactly.
really cute way.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they necessarily don't let people use it, but it is private. And it does appear, I mean, can't speak back to 2001, but the plan is very clear and I've attached it. So it does appear that there must have been some agreement at some point that it was going to be a town pedestrian easement, and I don't know what changed. I don't know why it never got done. But there is a path there. So that's that one. So you wouldn't be able to label it or anything. I wouldn't put it up on any list. Between 55 and 57 Holbert is James Street. That is very secure. There's a one big beach easement. There are double pedestrian easements. Now, I think that's the one that looks like a driveway.
It is, yeah.
And the pedestrian easement goes straight through the middle of the driveway. And I looked at it on the aerial and, you know, it's like, it's uncomfortable, right? To go through somebody's driveway. And then when you get to the end where you access the beach, it looks like there's a deck there or something. So,
There's a bulkhead.
yeah, so it's definitely not user friendly, I don't think.
That was before our board several years ago. Steve Cohen was representing the homeowner down there on one time. And I remember there was some people that used to say they brought their boats up. Sometimes they hauled their boats out there in case of an emergency. I think there were scalpers even, something like that. And that's where that agreement came from, because there used to actually be a swing set that used to sit at the very end of that the family on, I guess, 55, I had, would be in the middle of the way, but it was out in the middle of a big driveway, and it was a swing set for the grandchildren and, children at that time and grandchildren later, I think. So, but that one was a very definite one. They came before our board on a couple of occasions, and so that was sorted out, I guess, more recently, really.
Yeah, so it's for sure, all the proper documentation is there and everything. And then between 45 and 47.
Hang on one second, Rick?
I was on the board when James Street had a lot of discussions, and Tracy, I just want to point out, sort of for future reference on other locations. It's my understanding that the one big beach easement, if you take the middle of James Street all the way to the water, and you want to go to the right or the left, I think the town should have and could have negotiated one big beach easements totally in front of both of those lots, 55 and 57. Instead, it's only in the pathway, is my recollection.
And that's correct.
I'm just.
No,
No,
it goes to the left only, Rick, I think.
It goes in front of
So it goes
57.
towards jetties.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm just pointing out that negotiating these things gets very hardball at times. And I always think the town, in this case, could have made sure that was on both sides. So there you go.
Okay,
But in this case, that may or may not have been possible. There was more to this. I know the family that gave it up in 57 and Steve Cohen was representing, gave up the one big beach in front of theirs. The other property actually has been subdivided, quite frankly, by the family at 55. There's a subdivision plan in place on that property. So, and I think that it had something to do with, they didn't really need it. They really didn't need it as much. They just needed, I think, a variance of their setback. I think there was a problem with the setback or something.
I do know that I looked down and most of the other, if you were to take James Street and take a right, most of those people own to the low mean, and so you only have intertidal rights from that. So to take the right, you definitely need to have
Right.
the one big beach. And so anyways, I don't know what the thought process was, but that's how it exists.
But I agree with Rick, we could do tougher bargains. I think in that case, that was that was probably the tough bargain we got, I guess, already, so just put it that way. Without going-
So the
without going
next-
legal.
Next
And
one.
then 45 and 47, we have taken it, and there's a plan in place, again, no easements. And the same with Willard William, whatever that is, so same status there, it's been taken. And again, when you get down to that side, those people own to the low mean water, so you're just going in, walking down, basically.
What was the last one you said? It was the one. with numbers.
37, 39, Hulbert is Willard or William.
We'll get the memo, Ed,
I'm sorry.
I'll be sending you that.
I'm sorry.
And then,
Okay, so that's that, so you'll have it, and then you can make recommendations or whatever. however you
What
want to do it.
about Dick's Street, the one opposite Dick Street? It's on the other side of the, oh, I've forgotten his name, but you know, there's the one house that's abuts Charles Street.
Yeah,
And then there's the house.
yeah,
And then right opposite that is Dick's Street.
yeah, there's nothing there,
Nothing there?
no,
Oh, well, there is a path
Path
in a
there.
public way,
Mine.
one of the old
Yeah,
public way.
I don't know, I didn't find anything, I did go right down the line, because I was
Oh, well.
using the aerial to look and see where there's paths.
Right.
Um.
Yeah.
So, and I did think the same thing, and I think the idea. A lot of times I noticed when I'm looking at these is there's an every other.
Yeah.
So they think, well, you could just walk a little further to the next spot, so
Yeah,
we'll let these
exactly.
people get off and then we'll go to the next one.
I suspect that Dick Street was utilized as a path because of its location before all the development, everything else
Yeah.
went down there, and so interesting.
Yeah, Tracy, Ed Gillum, is Dick Street right next to the Johnson property?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, well, that was actually the subject of, at town meeting. I still remember some, it was a woman got up and she used to take her kayak there and it had grown over.
Right.
And the DPW actually intentionally came down and cut a path through there because so that's where I bring my kayak up. There's been a lot of accretion there, so it's become a lot longer over the
oh,
sand.
I do remember hearing about accretion too.
Yeah.
That was a
Um,
big issue down there.
because that's what came up with some of these too in negotiating, whether we can have easements or not, and whether it's accreted or
And
eroded or
there's been
whatever.
accretion in that area very definitely. In fact,
Yeah.
I think the Johnsons took
And
some of the accretion, if I recall.
There is one of the old public way monuments, the concrete one.
Yeah.
There.
That's, by the way, the concrete one at Charles Street is pretty dilapidated now,
Oh,
it's crumbling. We do have some spare.
Add them all to Drew's list. So anyways, so that's where we are with that. And then, the last piece was Tom Nevers Road, I think you guys were asking about. So I have been working on that with town council, still working on it, and I work with the transportation planner on the bike path design and easements. And I've met with a number of homeowners on Tom Nevers and walked, the properties with them and gotten suggestions and so hopefully, I think that it's going to be at town meeting and hopefully we can move it forward. So we're all working on it, we're working on it really hard, so that should play out. And
that was it, right?
I think that's it for me.
Okay.
Good job.
Well, thank you. That's very informative. It's great to know that all this work that was been done over the years is, there's a record.
There is a record of it. Sometimes if it goes on the registry, I can find it. Sometimes if it's just in people's notes, it takes me a little bit longer.
We do have 7 granite public way monuments, the upright ones, in stock. If there's a recall to market. One of the issues we've had with Wisconsin, of course, is that the overuse of the path, and unfortunately, the public, it was not the intention to make it a holiday.
Sure it was.
You know, I've been to other locations in the United States where, you know, when you have these popular areas, they only do by, you know, guided walks, and they have, you make an appointment with their visitor services, and you have you know, they take fairly large groups at a time, but they, you know, it's a guided thing and by appointment, so that, like, say, every hour on the hour is a walk.
Mhm.
Be hard out there, though, to control it, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So getting back to your, the review that you've done here. And Rick mentioning, Alan mentioning that we have, some uprights. Are there any locations in your mind that, we should flag? And working with the DPW now, actually, we're talking to you as a quick and fix person, because that's how it would be done, I guess, at
Yes.
this point.
Yeah. Of those locations, I think, you know, there are some very definitive ones. I think that on the bluff side, you could definitely put markers in, but on the other side, I just think the upright ones are, it's like hard in some of those
Exactly.
locations.
Yeah.
Well, we could put one where the booster pump was, just take the telephone pole stub out and put the marker there.
True.
Well,
Wouldn't look any worse than that pole does.
the ones we did put in, we put at the entrances on going both ways.
Yeah,
One at the entrance, one on Baxter Road, and then where the path begins toward the lighthouse.
I mean, I do think too, like, so I have always thought that Butterfly was an exit, but when I was looking at this list,
Yeah.
Butterfly is not, very clearly is not. But the way that the driveway goes and connects
Yes.
into makes you think you can just quickly cut out of the
Exactly.
path there.
Exactly.
People do use it.
Exactly, so, you know, in the alternative too is maybe a sign of like, this isn't where to,
Yeah.
don't go, or something, but yeah, I think, you know, it is important that people know where they can exit.
Exactly, yeah, well, that's why we put them at both ends. And we did put flush monuments, 12, I think, 18 by 18, in the ground at, I think Noske is one, and I think there's one at Rosa, it's from the path in.
Okay,
We didn't want to put the upright ones in, and there might be another one or two that we put in as well, so.
Okay. Well, thank you, for all your work, Tracy, and thank you for.
Yeah, this is really amazing to know that.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe as you look over things, maybe you'll have more thoughts on these upright monuments in particular, because they're the ones that obviously will direct the public to those spots. You know?
Yeah.
So you gotta be careful where you put them, I guess.
It also may be helpful in the ongoing discussions that the civic group in Wisconsin has brought forward on behalf of the abutters. For example, like the one you just mentioned, that clearly is not a legal exit. That it might at least make that homeowner more comfortable knowing that they have a right to put a sign up there and saying, you know, because there already is one on that, when you walkway, when you're on the bluff walk, there already is one that says public, not a private, not public way or something going back to the road. So maybe at least it'll show those folks that have come forward with concerns that, you know, we are making some progress on it, some of which they're gonna like and some of which they aren't gonna like.
well, there's other stuff happening. I mean, the stairs thing is gonna come up,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
and so it is a be careful what you wish for. And then I think, as you all know too, we're working on Baxter Road in general, so but that's further, you know, further down, so you know, it's you know,
with working on Baxter Road, you've got a real problem. Because of the encroachments from one Baxter Road to the chain link fence that the Coast Guard put up at Sanctuary Light. both sides of the road.
Yeah,
And when you've got telephone poles, the edge of your asphalt and a flagpole here,
Right, right.
yeah.
yeah.
Town flagpole.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much. If you want to stay, you're welcome. If you want to go home and have a hot chocolate and,
I'm gonna, weird, I'm such a weirdo, I'm gonna go home and call town council.
well, they,
But she called me before I was coming in and I need to talk to her,
all
so.
right, well, thank you
But
again.
thank you, and thank you for having me, and as always, you can bring your questions to me, and I'm happy to do the research.
Before you leave, I think Rick has one more question for you.
No, I was just giving a thumbs up.
Oh, okay.
I love to research, I like that a lot
Yeah.
more than some of the other things I have to do,
And I
so.
know you're working on the cemetery too, as far as.
I'm making some progress there.
Oh, good.
So I hope to have good news for you soon.
Great.
All right, well, thank you, and thank you very much for the book.
Yeah.
So, well, Tracy goes off into the sunset on her next mission. We'll continue on here. Any other business, members want to bring up that wasn't on the agenda or, other items? Bill?
Question, is it our intent, once we sort all this out, to start putting monuments in place?
I think we're a step closer than we were,
Is that the end?
Yeah,
End
I think so.
objective, okay.
because the other thing too is, in that process, we're gonna have, the town is gonna have to address the fact that there are no longer a supply of the flush mounts. So, that'll have to be taken in, to the project also.
So we'll have a mixture of flush mounts and,
What's the process? We need to order new ones.
Well, I think we have to make a recommendation, I believe.
To the select board,
We
right?
have to make a recommendation.
You're talking about skunks at the,
no, I'm talking about everything. I'm
In
talking
general.
also Holbrook Avenue.
Yeah.
I mean, we keep talking about this. I
Um,
mean, if it in fact is legitimate, let's put something out.
yeah, so we'll have to, and that's why I was asking Tracy her thoughts on locations that, go forward on. And then the process now to get the DPW to do things is a click and fix, we do a work order. And the town's using that for themselves, even to move, boxes from downtown to fairgrounds or air conditioner or anything, so that's how the DPW is getting its marching orders.
But we might
Request-
also have to order new supply. We've
that's
lost the
exactly.
supply that we thought we had before anyway,
Yeah.
and
well,
we might have to do some
You're right.
ordering and get the funds to do the ordering and et cetera, because, which that's a process in and of
Yeah, I
itself.
mean, I-
Neil Patterson created us. I
Yeah.
mean, he's the one who created us.
But I think we'll have to make a recommendation. And then the aftermath of that recommendation is, what is the process, Is there product, is there no product, does the DPW have in their budget to do that, or is it gonna be an allocation for that, so. It's still unfortunately gonna, plod along here, but, I think with Tracy's research, we're in a much better
Yeah.
State than we were.
Yes.
One additional thing, and I know that when the late Ken Bogran was working on several things like Franklin Street and things like that, we really never really heard the results of that, have we yet?
Right.
Especially Franklin Street with the cemetery access and
Exactly.
that. It'd be nice that it didn't just fall through the cracks, or maybe there's something in play that we don't know about yet, or I don't know. I think
Well,
about
that's right, Franklin Street and the
Stone Alley.
the footpath that goes down next to the church.
Stone Alley.
Yes, no, now,
Yeah, but Franklin Street was very definitely, something was in the works, but we don't know what it is.
Yeah, Ken
And I've only seen more signs.
Ken
of what I'm
wouldn't give us
saying
any
too.
details because they were in negotiation, the town was in negotiation within the butter.
Right,
Yeah,
so we don't know how that works.
So we could ask, that's something, next thing we could ask Tracy to put on her rather long list is,
Well, where are they on that?
Where they
Well, Franklin Street is marked now. There's a sign on each end.
this is his private.
What's that? That it's private.
And then it says no parking on this side, even to make sure the private people don't park in the wrong place either, but the cemetery at the other end, all the news, there is definitely the access to that steps up into the
Exactly,
cemetery.
yeah,
there.
and
That's kind of important, actually.
And the issue is that the cars parked there, they're there. There's a Land Rover that's been there for the last 3 years. I don't think it's moved. And again, it's the only access to both New North and Old North, which is on the other side. There's no place to park.
So if there was some negotiation going on, it might be just nice to know what was in the works and where they are on it, I guess. Is
Yeah,
where
yeah.
That's just where I'm going on it.
Mhm.
It's an unfinished issue, like
Yeah.
you were saying,
Right.
unfinished. That's
All right. The last item is, and we've dodged just to kick the can down the road. So like I said at the beginning, working on trying to use AI to create minutes. But I'll send out a volunteer sheet, I guess, to everybody on the board. But we need folks to step up and take on doing minutes in some fashion. The AI process will take a lot of the note-taking out of having to create the minutes, but you still have to go through the AI and trim it down and make it so it isn't 4 pages long. And attribute, if we do the roll call vote, we'll just have to summarize that for each vote. And it has to be put in a format similar to what has been previously used with the date and stuff at the top as a header but anyway, we're rapidly approaching a point where I am no longer willing to do it. So that being said, we're gonna have to either come up with a way or go back to Erica and tell her we're at an impasse. And it's a problem for a lot of committees in the town, and they don't know what they're gonna do because they don't have any staff to do that.
Right.
So same with running this Zoom meeting. The equipment was in trouble today again, and unfortunately, Charles Douglas from NCTV came in, even though he's setting up for the meeting at Fort Fairgrounds. He came in and got everything back working again. So I will reach out to Erica because the IT gentleman that came told me that this is set up differently than I was told. I was told that computer is set up exclusively for the Zoom process. But he said that's not the case. So either he's incorrect or I'm incorrect, but that needs to be squared away.
if we keep the Zoom that you've been doing, the AI, you've been doing the Zoom AI, is that what you've been doing?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
And so like today's meeting right now is running through that AI process.
Gotcha.
At the end, when we shut it down, it stores the notes that it takes. And because it's a town account, the administrator is the only one that can access that. So that'll be Maureen Coleman,
Oh,
and she will send them to me or to whomever. And so we have basically like it's like a Word doc, and you can if you had an individual account, which I'm in an organization where I am the account owner, at the end of the meeting, it sends that transcript
onto you,
as an email.
right,
And so it's an attachment, you can just start right in.
right.
So with this being a town account, we don't have that luxury. There's an extra couple of steps in there.
Right, so it'd be interesting, that's where I was going, because I was wondering whether there was a way to make this to just that, go to an individual person, which would be a lot easier to deal with and.
So there was I was looking at it, beginning of the week, in the settings for the account, the town account. And it appears to be a way to have that summary sent to,
people.
invitees or co-host anyhow. And so for this meeting, I'm set up as a co-host, and we'll see at the end if it actually will email it to me.
Right, okay,
I don't think it will, because I tried that the last one and she had to go get it, so. So, and I can't call and ask the Zoom, help desk because I'm not the account
got
owner.
old, right?
And so, and then I tried to backdoor that and use my private account. But my private account doesn't have the same subscription as the town account, obviously. So,
Well, maybe that thing that I showed you, the plot notes or something like that, maybe they'll allow us to use something like that, because
Yeah.
that would go to the person who has the plot
so I'm
notes.
gonna send that to her and say, because at some point, this is gonna have to be
Because I know there's
a
committees
town decision.
using that, not town committees, but like nonprofit, but there's other people that lacking a secretary are using these,
Yeah.
that methodology, let's put it that way.
So anyway, I will bicycle that out to folks, so we'll see. Who wants to do what, and we'll go from there. Anything else? Did everything? No? That being said, then,
Nelson Eldridge, motion to adjourn.
Second,
so there's by Snicky and Ed, is that good?
Or Phil
Phil?
Smith. people do it.
So by roll call, Alan Reinhardt,
Aye.
Rick Atherton,
Aye.
Bill Smith,
aye.
Nelson Eldridge,
Aye.
Ed Gillum,
Hi,
and Bill Greeter, aye. Thank you, everybody.
thank you.
We're still recording until I get down together and